Hello fans, viewers and subscribers. You're joining me, Ruku, for another beer review. Yes, I am live here today. If you're watching this on my Facebook page, hello and welcome. For those that are watching it on the YouTube channel, hello and welcome also. Today is going to be a very good review. Just bear me 2 seconds, I just need to change something I've just noticed, so don't go anywhere, I'll be back. Right, okay fans, viewers, I'm back. Sorry about the delay. Yeah, so today I will be reviewing a beer that's going to just blow the socks off you. And I'm going to be covering a little bit of the history and a little bit more. So what am I viewing? Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all I'd like to show you the box, because the way that this is, some people don't believe that actually this is how it comes. So I'm going to be showing you the unwrapping of it. I don't usually do this, as you know, if you're a regular viewer, but just because I can and because I think it's a little bit more exciting, we're going to check this out. So here we go. That there is the box, as you can see. It says, handle with care, contains bark and bite, as you can see there as well. So that is how the box came, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to spin it round. As also on the back of this box, it's also the same. It contains different wording. And there you go, different wording. So, now I'm going to get the beer out of this. And if you've been on my Facebook page, if those that are watching, I don't know if you guys are. Let me have a look. I'm just digging this out just to make sure. Okay, so on my Facebook page you will know that I posted this picture, as you're pretty familiar with. Just going to do away with the box now. This is the beer in question, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not making this up, this was how it was actually packaged. Just thought I'd like to show you that before I mended anything and took it off. So, any guess then to any of the beer, what it could be? Well, I think the... actually, it's not on my channel right now, but I did post the name of it, so it would have been a giveaway, but sadly, it's not come up on my YouTube channel, sadly. Right then, here we go. The moment of truth, ladies and gentlemen. You've all been sitting there probably Googling this and wondering what on earth it is, so for those that are on my Facebook page, will know exactly what I'm talking about, as I've been posting constant pictures of it. But for those of you who are joining me live on my channel, on my YouTube channel, then you would not have a clue as to what this is. This is quite a bastard to get off, I will say that. Get off, you cunt. Right, this is the bottle stopper that comes with it, because this was a very, very expensive beer, and I mean very expensive indeed. I can't get that off because I've only got one hand, but yeah, I'll hang on to that. It will come in handy, believe you and me. They don't just give this for just because of the price of the beer. This is here for a reason. So, the moment of truth, ladies and gentlemen. I give you the 41% beer. There you go. The 41% beer in question is Sink the Bismarck. I've had this beer before, way back in 2010, and I thought it was worth doing a review. This beer is unlike any other beer. It's up there with the world's strongest beers, and it was once upon a time the world's strongest beer. It's not now, because obviously what I'm about to tell you later on is the history of the world's strongest beer, and the fight to the top. That is, many countries battling it out to claim that they have the world's strongest beer. So, as you can see, it is all encased. This was slightly differently actually to when I last had it. They never had all this corking and the metal. This was just a pure cap that you burn off. But there you go, sink the Bismarck. As you can see on the front there, it says 41% and IPA for the dedicated. This is not an IPA, I will stress that. Where are we? Can you get that? It's a 375ml, and in tiniest of writing there is also more proof. And on here, the side, they have a lovely speech, which I may or may not read out to you later on, depends on how I feel. As a comparison for this, as I say, this is not like a beer. This is what I like to call a spear, because of the fact is that it represents like a whiskey. So I have a bottle of whiskey with me today, and I'm going to just pour out a comparison just to show you what I'm talking about. So I'm excited to do this. Gives me great pleasure to unearth this, if I can get it. Come on, bastard. With one hand, I'm going to try and pop the cork. Is this going to end badly? I fucking hope not. Do you know what? I don't know if I can do this one-handed. Right, let me just bear hug it. I'm going to bear hug it and do it. Do you know what? I need two hands, so I'm just going to put the camera down and I'll join you in 2 seconds. Or actually, I can just probably do this. I didn't realise I could potentially do this. If I just set that camera up like that, I'm just going to fucking hell, they put this thing in super tight so you can't get into it. Come on. Hey, there you go. What a fucking cork. Fucking hell, that was a workout in itself. Right, I've got my glass with me because it's not like any normal beer, as I said, and I keep mentioning. Right, so it gives me great honour to do this with one hand because this is not like a normal beer. I don't often do this, but here we go. A live pour, ladies and gentlemen. And there you go. That, in a sense, is what 41% looks like. As you can see, the colour, very much like a whiskey. There's no carbonation in it, and there is no head. Now, you may be wondering and saying to me, but Ruku, you know, you can't class that as a beer. Well, I can agree, but I can disagree, and I'll come to that in just a moment. This is what the cork thing's for, to stop your beer, or your spear, as I like to call it. Just push it down, which again I'm going to need two hands for, so just give me 2 secs. But that's the idea. You prod it in there like so, and you just pull down on the old plunger. Ah, come on. There we go. That is also quite tight, but there you go. It keeps your beer nice and fresh and sealed from anything that can get in and contaminate it. So, right. That's that. I'm just going to have a little demonstration quickly, and then I'll bring on the comparison. So 41%. So have a good old sniff first, and then I will taste this, as I'm probably mad enough to do this sort of stuff. Fucking hell, that is powerful on the nose. That literally burns your nostrils. That is a very, very fruity smell. That is really, really good. Very, very fruity. There's a slight burn of alcohol on the nose, so I'll be honest. Smells quite sweet as well. But there you go. Before I drink this, I must add, they only recommend you drink this in shots. So you can't have no more than about a shot. I mean, that is a little bit more than a shot, I'd say, but you know, as long as you don't drink this all day is basically what the people here are saying that made this. And again, but here we go. Cheers everyone. It's a 41%. Shitting hell. Yeah. I underestimated the strength of that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, fuck. That is a powerful burn. Oh, Christ. Very, very strong alcohol. Burns your mouth, but it laces it after the burn with a very sweet, fruity taste, somewhat addictive. Once you get past the burn, I mean, that's my first drink, so once I get over that initial first time, that would probably taste a little bit better, but I'm just going to swish it around. I just got to go in for another go. Ah, that's better. That's better. Get over the first gulp and it burns you. Second gulp is still strong. The body of it is, I'd say medium. It's not quite a thick syrup, although that's what it kind of suggests that it looks like, but it's not. It doesn't taste like a syrup. The body is just straight. Very average body. But the taste, as I say, is burn of alcohol, a little bit of fruit coming in, a lovely bit of sweetness. But the aftertaste is more so the best bit of this beer. As you can imagine, being 41% is not actual beer in itself. Reason why I call it a spear is because it looks more of a whiskey. Again, whiskey qualities, there's no head, nothing. So, moving swiftly on to the actual people that make this is a company in Scotland. They are called Brewdog, as you can see their logo there. The company initially was set up a few years back, I think about 2008 or 2007, something around that time, and it was only consisted of two friends. Two friends got a loan, had a dream to make their own brewery, an outrageous beer, and they've done very well. And they are still in business to this day, and they're doing better than ever, I do believe. I've had a lot of their beer, not all at 41%, I'll be honest, but I've had a lot of their beer, very nice beers indeed. Some are shit, some are good. So I highly recommend Brewdog. They are in Scotland, and I think last time I checked, based in Fraserburgh, which is right on the edge of Scotland. So Scottish being renowned for their whiskey is why they've produced this, and yeah, the history of this is amazing. So I've taken a few screenshots on my other phone because obviously I'm not technologically advanced enough to have two things going at the same time. I'm a dinosaur, as it were. So, okay, so basically this all starts off, and again I will remind you fans that this is the history. So I do apologise if this is going to sound boring, but believe you and me, you'll understand where this particular beer plays a part in the lineup of the crown for the world's strongest beer. So it starts off, I haven't got this on here, but I do know that it goes back, I think, to Austria, that done a beer at 14%, that was considered the world's strongest. I can't for the life of me remember what it was called, but I do know that it translates to Father Christmas, and I've had it, and it's on my YouTube channel, so if you haven't already seen it, go and view it. Then you get the Americans fighting back, good old America, with one of their Samuel Adams, I think it was called Utopia. They did two of those, which equaled out around about 20%, so again, we've upped the stakes. Now, on my phone here is where you get the hardcore stuff. It then starts, and I'm terrible for pronunciations, but it's a German beer called Scholzbock, which is 31%, and was a German company known for pushing the limits with wheat beers and bocks, set out to create the world's strongest beer in December of 2008. They released Sherbock 31 at 31% as a Ernstbock, or whatever that is, I don't know what that is. But it just clocked in a few percentages, or a few percent in the alcohol, a point any other beer than previously made. So that came in at 31%. Okay, so this is where the big boys are at, and this is 41. So yeah, you can see how high this is going to get. The next one on the agenda, also by the same company that made this lovely beer, was Brewdog, and I never got around to trying this, but you can still buy it for a lot of money. It's called Tactica Nuclear Penguin, and it's a stout. And, oh shit, I've got 14% battery, you can go away. Right, okay. So basically, here we go. The names of the two brewers that made Brewdog were James Watt and Martin Dickey. What a shit name. Sorry, Martin, if you're watching. You've got a shit surname. So basically, they're in Scotland, and it says they wanted to trump the previous World's Strongest Beer, which was Sherbock 31. At the end of November in 2009, they released Tactical Nuclear Penguin as an Imperial Stout, which cloaked in at 32%. So they beat it just by 1%. Stealing away the title from the Germans, and as you can imagine, no offence to any Germans watching, I bet they were pretty pissed off. You know what the Germans are like, very prim proper. We have to do this right now. Just going to have another. Again, you always get that fruity spiciness. You get a nice warmth. The warmth has now made me sweat somewhat. I'm starting to sweat. It's warmed all my internal core. My face is somewhat really hot and probably red underneath the balaclava, but because on my channel I don't review my face, you're not going to see who I am. But yeah, I can feel the sweat coming off my face. My core temperature, I feel so warm. It is just like a whiskey. I will be coming back to this just between these, by the way, telling you more. Okay, so then you've got another Sherbock from Germany in December of 2009. So they then topped Tactical Nuclear Penguin. So what they did was they called freeze on the Tactical Nuclear Penguin. By the end of 2009 of December, they basically was now the new titles. So now you've got a race happening between the Scottish, which is this, Scotland, and the Germans for the crown. Back and forth, this has been going for years and years and years, and I have sadly kept up with all this because I like trying the world's strongest beers, because let's be honest, how many people can hold their hands up and say, I've had it? Not many. And then we get to this one, my favourite, Sink the Bismarck. Sink the Bismarck. They then struck back in February of 2010 and released a 41% beer named Sink the Bismarck. And I quote, and it says here, the name was clearly a slap in the German brewer's face. Because for those that don't know the history, Bismarck was a battleship, I think, in World War II, whatever it was. I'm not great with history, but it was in the war. And the English and the Americans basically ended up sinking this massive warship. So if you will, it's like a middle finger to the Germans. Again, yeah, Germans are probably not happy with that. Such is life, because they come back. They come back with another Sherbock, or whatever the hell it's called, at 43%. So now we're getting increasingly higher. And that was in May 2010, so it didn't, Brewdog didn't hold the title for too long there. Sherbock was rated up as the alcohol content was 43% to take back the title belt. Pretty self-standard. My favourite was this next one, and I'm gutted I never got my hands on this, I really am. It was called End of History, again brewed by Brewdog from Scotland. End of History was unlike any other beer. It came encased in a dead squirrel or a dead stout, and I mean this was for real. These guys just don't give a fuck. They literally encased it in a dead animal and sold it to the market. Now, believe you me, there was massive uproars here in England alone and all over the world saying you can't do that, it's cruelty to animals. And the people at Brewdog turned around and said, well, actually, we didn't kill these animals purposely, we found them on the side of the road. In other words, roadkill. So they got roadkill, and I am convinced that it wasn't roadkill, that it was just too well maintained to be, But anyway, it was a bottle and you couldn't see the bottle, so you are, in a sense, drinking out of the squirrel's mouth when it's poured, and it was also had a top hat and a tuxedo. And it cost you a fucking massive £500 to buy a bottle. So, as I will continue, End of History then, at £500 a bottle, as it were. They only made limited versions as well. I think there was only about 12 or 15 ever bottles ever sold and ever made. So if you've got one and you've not opened it, hang on to it. It may be worth a few quid. So End of History, July 22nd, 2010. And it says basically one of the most unique beers ever sold. Brewdog came back with the crown of the End of History. The 55% beer cost upwards of $1,000 and bottles came in an actual taxidermied squirrel. As I mentioned before, they claim it was roadkill. Yeah, like hell. Right, we're nearing to the end, so I do apologise if this is extremely boring. But as I said, as I promised, you know, you've got to learn the history before you drink these types of beers. You've got to know where the market stands. So now we get a new competitor from Germany and Scotland. This was Holland, so the Dutch thought they had a shot. Probably smoking too much weed before they come out with this recipe, but there you go. It was called Start the Future and was released in July the 29th of 2010. This now comes in at 60%, so another 5% more. Well, hey. So it says, just after a week after Brewdog announced end of history, Start the Future released at 60%, while all the beers or on its list that's far traditional. One seems to break the rules altogether. It's actually blended with whiskey to achieve its high alcohol levels, and that's not often considered as a contender for the crown. In other words, because they used whiskey within the beer, they cheated, so they don't count. So that now drops off the list. I'm telling you, very Moorish. The taste is so Moorish. I've got to be careful. Once I've done this, I'm going to show you the comparison with a real whiskey, which I have got by the side of me, and what this looks like against the whiskey. So stay tuned for that. Moving on, we're getting now to the end. Another Sherbock from Germany, another attempt, ramping up the stakes. They now come in from October 2011 at 57%, so now they're really upping it. Not as much as a 60%, but again, Start the Future got cancelled because they cheated, honestly. So yeah, then so this come out. It claimed the title at 57% and was a limited edition brew that came out at 57.5. So they obviously only made a few of those German Sherbocks at 57%. Finally, the last two. One of these I've still got. I've drunk it, but I've still kept the bottle. Armageddon in 2012 was released. Armageddon came in at 65%. And again, just like Start the Future, there are expectations that these guys cheated. This wasn't from Brewdog, by the way. Armageddon is a completely different country from the Scottish brewery Brewmeister. So there's the company Brewmeister. They come in with a beer called Armageddon. They claim to be 67%, making it the strongest beer at the time. Many say the beer actually didn't come close to the 65% that the brewery claimed, as it's since been removed from the Brewmeister's lineup. In other words, they got heavily criticised that they also were adding bits and pieces into the beer, and the fact that some legend has it that it was actually only 15%. Believe you me, it tastes stronger than 15% because I reviewed it and it's on my YouTube channel too. So if you're watching, go and find it, worth a watch. And finally, the most recent one, which is my most successful video on my YouTube channel and the world's current strongest beer at the moment, and has been since October 2013, and it is called Snake Venom. Why? Because it bloody tastes like it. Snake Venom was backed by the same people that made Armageddon, so the Brewmeister company from Scotland. They come in with a beer that is 67%, so it says that the beer is more pronounced alcohol flavour. In October 2013, the brewery released Snake Venom. The beer is said to be 67.5% and is currently the world's strongest beer in the world. So there you go. I've also had that, and believe you me, that cost a fortune too. So Armageddon, how much did that cost me? I think that was about £30 roughly. What would a bottle of Sink the Bismarck at 41% on a 375ml cost you? £40 a bottle. And that's without post and packaging as well, don't forget. So you can add on another roughly about £7, £5 for post and packaging. So yeah, about 43 to £45 for a bottle. Am I mad? Yes. So yeah, and also Snake Venom again cost me around about the same sort of price, around about the £40–50 mark. Right now, the time has come for me to pour this again and drink some more because I can, and also just to compare what it looks like against a real whiskey. What I have is a blend of whiskies, and no, it's not Bell's. See, that comes in handy. It's amazing what you get for 47 odd quid, isn't it? so that's just going to align this up for 2 secs while I get the lid back on. Not a bottle stopper, as it were. Right, okie doke. Right, so there you go. That's the snake venom. Fucking hell. Sink the Bismarck. Got snake venom on the mine. They don't sell that anymore, sadly. Right, here I have down beside of me, I have a whiskey here, and just to prove that I'm not, you know, jipping anyone in any which way, I've drunk quite a bit of this, as you can see, but that's the colour of the whiskey, and let me show you on the back there. Don't know if you can see that, but it says around, is it there? Yeah, just there. Don't know if you can read that in the corner there. That actually says 40%. I don't know if that's picking that up, but that does say 40%. And just to prove that I'm not making anything up and everything is above board, that says 40%. That says 41%. So this Sink the Bismarck is officially in the whiskey range. You are effectively talking about a whiskey that is as strong as, you know, a beer and a whiskey. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Oh, and there you go. Look, I've just seen on the front there of the actual whiskey itself, it does say 40%. So 40% against, on the front, 41%. Whiskey, beer, whiskey, beer, beer, whiskey. You see, this stuff is crazy. Who sits there and says, you know, we'll make a beer at 41%? I'll tell you who, the Scottish. Right, I've got another glass, and there you go, nice and empty. Excuse my ugly mug. Just, again, I need to open this. Right, just to show that I'm not cheating, I have just literally undone that. And I will be pouring the whiskey. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is whiskey. Don't confuse it with beer. This is whiskey. Bearing in mind, this is a blend of whiskies, so this isn't, what as they say, a real whiskey. It's made up of different whiskies. Right. Can you now see the difference in that? What I have here, ladies and gentlemen, this here is Sink the Bismarck. This is a 41% beer, and this is a blend of whiskies at 40%. So you can see the whiskey is incredibly lighter, and it looks a little bit more durable and flexible, and a bit more watery than the 41% beer. So what you have in essentially there, ladies and gentlemen, is two different styles. Who would have thought a beer could be like that and almost mimic a whiskey? That's just crazy. That really is just fucking crazy. So, the final thing that I'm going to say before shooting off and rounding this video up is, quite simply, how they get it to this sort of substandard of craziness. Why it's not like a normal standard everyday beer. Well, the actual journey starts off as normal brewing beer. They brew it normally with your hops, rice, yeast, whatever you want to put in it. The difference is how they brew this particular beer. Just going to move the whiskey just over there a second. What they do is quite simply a strange thing to do, but it works. What they do is they brew the beer, and then they get it up to a good strength. So, I mean, me personally, I can get a beer up to 20% brewed naturally without any fancy equipment. And they must do roughly the same thing. They must get up to a certain percentage. They then add more alcohol. So they probably brew another set of alcohol with the same recipe and add it to the same thing. What they then do is genius. They then freeze dry this. So they freeze the beer in sub-zero, temperatures. What they then do is stupid. What they then do, and I'm not joking, is they actually remove the water from the beer. and obviously I'm guessing when you freeze it and you remove water, the beer is now going to go a little bit flatter because you're taking the carbonation out. The yeast has had enough time to make alcohol, and probably you're losing a bit of goodness from it too, no doubt. Again, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an expert, but this is what I'm presupposing may happen. And when they do this, obviously, they do that 4 times. So this beer itself, this Sink the Bismarck, has actually been freeze-dried, and the water has been removed up to 4 times to give you this incredible fruity-tasting 41% beer. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And again, that's the whiskey. And as you can see, the beer and the whiskey, look at the colour definition. Just crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. But before I log off, I'm just going to read, as I promised, the little bit at the back. Okay, let me just check. Right, okay, so I'm just going to read 2 little articles on the back here. It says, their approach has the same contempt of the mass beer market that the old school punks had a pop culture. Brewdog is a modern day rebellion against faceless corporation bureaucracy and the bland, soulless beer that they industry produce. Ditch the mainstream and say hello to Brewdog, made with barley, hops, yeast and water. So that is why, ladies and gentlemen, it is still classed as a beer, because they still use the barley, hops, yeast and water the same way they do as a normal everyday beer. Only difference is they freeze dry it multiple times and add a little bit more alcohol. And it does say the ingredients, I think. I don't know, again, if you're going to pick that up, but it does say it on there as per proof. Right, where am I? So now this is a bit of a paragraph, and I'm going to read all of that out to you, so don't fall asleep. So it says, an unsettled development has arisen in mainland Europe, which Brewdog have found impossible to ignore. Armed with their 40% above beer, German brewers have infiltrated our front lines, slipped under the defences and straight into the radars of you, the noble beer drinkers of the empire. Oh, thank you. We ask of you to keep calm and carry on while saluting the vigilant efforts of the Tactical Nuclear Penguin. And as I mentioned earlier, Tactical Nuclear Penguin, that was around about the 3rd, 4th world's strongest beer, as I read out earlier on the list. So if you've just joined me, which I can see a few of you have, go back and watch this and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So anyway, carrying on, it then says that they are winning out the big guns to this time. Sink the Bismarck is a quadruple IPA. And again, I don't class it as an IPA, but there you go, this is Scotland. It contains 4 times the hops, 4 times the bitterness, and frozen 4 times to create a staggering 41%. Amen to that. This IPA amplified the most efficient style of the craft beer resistance, with the volume cranked off the scale, kettle hopped, dry hopped, and then freeze hopped for a deep fruit resonance. A spicy aroma, a full-out attack on your taste buds, ensuring as an incredibly smooth liquor delivers a crescendo of malt, sweet honey, hop oils, and a torpedo of hop bitterness, which lasts and lasts. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's as easy as that. That is what they give you. Fantastic. And that is the end product, ladies and gentlemen. You can still buy this, as I said, for £40 a bottle on Brewdog's website, and you can also buy Tactica Nuclear Penguin 2 for around about the same price, or you can buy 2 of them together for like 60 odd quid if you've lost the plot. Is it worth drinking? Yeah. I mean, again, you know, the aftertaste is of the bitter, mostly just alcohol fueled, but I can't get over the sweetness of this. So, one last time, let's give it one final review. Eye-watering stuff. Very smooth, very fruity, strong alcohol hit. Warms you like a whiskey. My eyes, you can see my eyes now watering. Can you see that? Watery eyes. That's how strong this is. It burns you internally. It warms you up, so a fantastic winter warmer. And there's no carbonation, no head, so I can't show you that. There's no lacing either, such as standard beers give you. But what it does give you is an incredible tense flavour, and they are right. They've got it on the bottle there, it does give you an attack on the taste buds. They've taken the words out of my mouth, but I didn't realise it had honey in it, so I'm happy with that because I like sweet stuff. And the fact that there's a deep fruitness that resonates all the way through your mouth, your taste buds, does the job perfectly in my eyes. How they get fruit into it, I don't know. I don't know what fruits used, but again, they've done a bloody good job here at Brewdog. So thank you, Brewdog, for bringing us this. Much appreciate that, I really do. Fantastic. Well worth a try. If you're nuts like me, go for it. If you've got the money to spend, go for it. Well worth it. So, before I wrap this up then, if you're watching, give us some comments. Don't forget to like my channel and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. As you can see, live here now, no one's actually commented, so on the live chat. But if you are watching, as I say, come in if you know how to and just give me a little chat. If there's any questions you want asked, let me know. So I'm going to give you about 30 odd seconds or so to come in and just comment there. But if you don't, then you don't, so that's fine. You can always comment after the video's ended, ladies and gentlemen. And again, stay tuned for some more videos. I'll be uploading more live videos again, first Tuesday of every month. So I'll be uploading another live one, hopefully, unless it gets cancelled. So yeah, I would just like to say thank you for watching, and your 30 seconds for writing a comment begins now. I will be watching. Okay, there's no comments yet, so you've got about another 10 seconds to write your comments in. And yes, I'm aware there is a time lag, so I'm just going to go over the 30 seconds, I think, because I'm still way behind. Right, okay, so that's it, ladies and gentlemen. No comments then here on the live video. If you do want to comment, you can comment either on my Facebook page, if you're watching this from the Facebook page, which is at Ruku's Beer. So come and add me if you want. All pictures on there, all the latest stuff that I do, to keep you informed if you've not got a YouTube channel. But if you've got a YouTube channel, if I burp is a sign of good beer. If you've got a YouTube channel, come and join me, subscribe, like and comment, and vice versa on the Facebook page. So that's Facebook, Ruku's Beer. That's R-U-K-U, and then beer, B-E-R-R. No, B-E-R, isn't it? Sorry, my mistake. So yeah, come and join me for that. If not, just subscribe to my channel. So leaves me not more to say now, except thanks for watching. You've been great, and join me again soon for some more beer reviews, when I'll be going back to normal at drinking the everyday pony stuff. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.